fascinating outlook is architecture, the integration with architecture. The inclusion of public art with architecture is pervasive around the world. One can say that it all began with the vernacular prehistoric cave art of our ancestors. It became high art with the Chinese or the Mayans or the Egyptians, Greeks or Romans, and has continued up to the present day. Virtually every societal period of architecture includes examples of the integration of art and architecture. The very center of our downtown is graced with perhaps our most recognizable local historical example of art and architecture, the Soldiers and Sailors Monument by Bruno Schmitz. A more modern example is the Rainbow Spectrum by a graphic designer, Milton Glaser, around the first floor of the Evans Wool and Minton K Park Federal Building. When I founded Ratio Architects in 1982, a passion I wanted to pursue was the inclusion of art in our architectural work. Our first exploration was with the freestanding art alongside our buildings. These bronze sculptures for the Arvin headquarters by J. Seward Johnson show the use of an Arvin tire pump with a restored Model T and the children playing the part. With our next corporate headquarters, we conducted a competition for a freestanding sculpture with Indiana Energy. Engaging the services of Steve Manheimer with a local jury, the trees here by Gary Freeman ultimately selected and installed. It executed here in Corten steel, it represented the sensitivity of the environment. Certainly the most emotional commission was the Holocaust Memorial at the Jewish Community Center. Organized along the timeline of Jewish history, the surviving spirit by Alfred Tibor, a survivor himself, is set in the quiet standing trees at the rear of the center. The visitor enters the site via a meandering path recalling the chaos, and upon reflection and contemplation of the memorial, the visitor returns to the timeline on a straight and clear path. Using the lost wax process of casting bronze, the piece sits atop the plinth of Jerusalem stone illuminated with an eternal flame, reflected in a pool of tears in the foreground. We then began a series of exploration of placing art within the buildings themselves, ultimately transforming into what we now call narrative architecture. We engaged Jack Brubaker to design some exterior bas-relief panels and Gary Anderson for the interior handrail connecting the two levels of the Brown County Library using painted steel and found objects. Here at Evis on the Circle, we modulated the mullions of the facade, actually with the FM wavelength and the three-dimensional mullions projecting from the facade with the AM wavelength. Coupled with the other radio symbols in the building, such as the door handles and radiating radio waves in the terrazzo, and even the ceiling flames, we tell a story about what the use is of this building. With our client's self-imposed funding of 2% for public art, the Indiana State Museum, more than any other of our commissions, allowed us to fully express the integration of art and architecture. Narrating the many stories of Indiana, the building itself has become an object de art. Constructed of indigenous materials from Indiana, such as Indiana sandstone, stainless steel, aluminum, and of course limestone, the building embraces its location. Fully explained in the book, Stone, Steel, and the Spirit. I'm not going to try to tell the whole building story here this evening, which talks about our Hoosier personality, the combination of the contrariness and the conservatism that we have. Suffice it to say that the experience begins at the front door with the 19-bay drop-off canopy emblematic of the 19 states in the Union prior to Indiana being admitted, and you cross the emblem of Indiana as you enter the building. Inside the building, at the intersection of the overlaid grids of the facilities, symbolizing the crossroads of America, through the assistance of Governor O'Bannon, we engaged the native son and internationally recognized pop artist Robert, as I got to know him, Bob, in Indiana, to create the Indianapolis. Constructed of painted aluminum, the serif stacked letters were drawn from stencil patterns that he found in his house and vinylated. The Indiana steam clock was done to give something back to the community when a steam line was moved, and we engaged Ray Saunders, a horologist out of Vancouver, who did the steam clock out of stainless steel and brass. With the museum being visited by children from all over the state, to connect those children to their history of where they came, I conceived the idea and had David Young execute the 92 County Walk. The blend of whimsy and serious historical context, executed with the detail and care of the modern exhibit of each county. Shown here is Grant County depicting James Dean in a sack of popcorn, Spencer County depicting young Abe Lincoln with the years he lived in Indiana, and Delaware County with Garfield the cat in a ball jar. It isn't often that an artist's work gets to transform the brand of an institution, but clearly the dinosaurs emerging out of the Children's Museum Dinosphere have done just that. Designed and fabricated in fiberglass by Brian Cooley of Calgary, Alberta, they become the memory of each child who visits that institution today. Executed at full scale, they suggest finding the finest teenage dinosaur exhibit inside. The Children's Museum Director, Jeff Patchen, brought fine art with the Dale Chihuly Fireworks of Glass piece. Working with his studio, Dale executed his largest piece to date at 50 feet. The glass ceiling below is in case of seat forms and can move view from a rotating platform. Our current project that we're working on is the New Indiana Convention Center, and we are getting ready to start soliciting submissions from artists to collaborate with us on this piece so that we can engage some different kind of art. We'd like to get into some medium, video art, and as well as suspended art.